Now I'm going to this guy, Seymour Melman, because he is like the finale point that I'm trying to present here, in emphasizing that defense, military spending is not just an incidental to the current economic crisis, but in fact, one of the biggest factors why we have the economic crisis. This man has really devoted much of his life analyzing the mechanics of the permanent war economy. Sometimes we refer to it as Pentagon capitalism. Sometimes he referred to them as the military-industrial complex. But if you want to have, like, some good reading in terms of what is the permanent war economy, please look for information on Seymour Melman. And actually, I have some here. If you just do the Google search, the economic conversion imperative 11 propositions by Seymour Melman, this URL will come out. You will get a good copy of that PDF version of this article. And I'll be using much of that for this presentation. Another source is War Incorporated. This was the last word by Seymour Melman. In fact, the version that I was able to access was something that was continued by two other scholars because Seymour Melman died. And so they were able to give some data as far as probably 2001 and 2002. But please, if you want to look again into, especially the lot of graphs that I'll be projecting comes from this particular work by Seymour Melman. The 11th proposition of Seymour Melman starts with this. The Cold War is over, Cold War making institutions are intact. Pentagon receives an annual capital fund that since 1951 has exceeded the net profits of all U.S. corporations. Hence, the state managers of Pentagon and their CEO in the White House control the largest single capital fund in U.S. economy. Now imagine if that capital fund, instead of being used for war, was used for peace. We will probably have a very different story, but anyway, that's not what happened. And these are just some of the, quotes that that I lifted from Seymour Melman. When we speak of the existence of the military-industrial complex and how the permanent war economy, it started right after the war. From 1947 to 1989, that's when we said that actually 8.2 trillion of money went to the military spending. And if you average that, that was like 42 years, 1947 to 89. The annual average was like 195 billion a year going to defense. He went further, not only looking at the 1947 to 1989, but he also looked into 1990 and 2000, which was 10 years, and he pointed out it was 2.9 trillion going to military, and it would average like $290 billion a year, which was a big jump from the previous figure that happened during, the 1947, during the Cold War, and so on and so forth. But this is what I'd like you to think of how much it costs for the current conduct of the war in Iraq. And the source this time is Joseph Stiglitz, one of the respected economists, won the Nobel Prize, and he estimated that the cost of the war in Iraq and Afghanistan actually exceeds $3 trillion. And it's not only because of the spending, but also because of the impact brought about by people, being sent out, the loss of productivity, and so on and so forth. He calculated that. And by the way, because this article came out March 9, 2008, we were already at that time experiencing the financial burst, of the subprime loan that ultimately triggered the whole collapse of that triggered the financial crisis, and that ultimately triggered the global economic crisis. And these are just some of the explanations that Stiglitz and Melman had in that article regarding the $3 trillion cost of the Iraq war. I have to be fast here. I have to go to the second proposition of Seymour Millman, which has a bearing on the economic situation. The war economy for powering the Cold War and for the war against the poor has been consuming U.S. civilian industry. The depletion takes place through processes that are often indirect and hidden because they are controlled by flows of finance, capital, and interest rates. But the preemption of the real resources comprising fixed and working capital continues. This accounts for what is otherwise inexplicable, namely the decline of production competence of U.S. industry. The decline is often visible in the total disappearance of industries. So when we talk about what are the impacts of the concentration of the largest amount of capital in defense spending, it results in the deindustrialization of the United States. A lot of companies have fled the United States because one of the biggest reasons is the fact that capital that could have been used for peaceful means and so on and so forth goes to military spending. One manifestation of the deindustrialization, and this came from Seymour Millman's work, War Inc. That's why it's important for you to take a look at that. Here they have the data of 1997, which Millman worked on in the 2001, which the two other guys who continue this work found out. But just imagine, the amount of decline in U.S. industries that has happened. And try to imagine what are the implications. When industry closes, people lose their job. When they lose their job, they lose their consumption capacity, their buying power, and so on and so forth. And so that's why it matters really in terms of the economic situation that we have, when money goes to military spending, which led to this deindustrialization in the production of machinery. This is one of the best graphs that I got out of that War Incorporated. Millman here was showing the trade-off that happens of what you spend for even just one weapon system, and look at the equivalent of money, the equivalent in terms of how many people will be benefiting from various programs if this money is done to civilian use. You can find that graph again in that book. But this is just emphasizing the fact that so much is being taken away from the people by defense spending, and that's why we have to be critical about it. The third proposition that Millman had was that the war economy, in the service of extending the decision power and wealth of American state and corporate managers, has been consuming the civilian infrastructure, roads, bridges, water supply, waste disposal system, housing, medical care, and so on and so forth. All of these are affected. Think what happened in New Orleans during Katrina. Think of what happened in St. Paul, Minnesota, when the bridge collapsed. And try to replicate what we experience right here in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia. And you will realize that what is the war economy taking from people in terms of the deterioration of the civilian infrastructure. And translate that into money. If your travel becomes slower because the bridge has fallen down, that translates into money. And so, that's how Seymour Millman actually is pointing out how wasteful this proposition. And this is just some of the example again from that book, article War Inc. When the U.S. when the American Society of Civil Engineers did the grading of the U.S. infrastructure, the general grade was B+. And some have even very dismal grades. Just go back to another point. The war economy in service of extending decision power and wealth of American state and corporate manager has been consuming the civilian infrastructure. That's what the point is.